Hi, I'm Claude from Wilderness Skills. Today I'm going to do a review of this sleeping pad from Exped. You can buy this sleeping pad here from Exped at urbanoutdoor.dk, and that's also the company who borrowed me this sleeping pad, so thank you very much for that. The Exped DownMat 9 LW, and LW means long and wide, is rated down to minus 38 degrees centigrade. The size is 197 centimeters long, 65 centimeters in width, both at the shoulders and down at the feet, and 9 centimeters in thickness. It has an insulation of goose down, 320 grams, so it is really well insulated. The size when it's packed here in the small bag here is 27 centimeters long and about 15 centimeters in diameter. The volume when it's packed down here is about 5.7 liters. The weight of the sleeping pad itself is 1240 grams, and the weight of the small bag here is 24 grams. So all in all, 1264 grams for this sleeping pad here. The material on the top is a mix of 150 denier and 75 denier polyester, and the bottom is made out of 75 denier polyester. Let's have a look at the sleeping pad here. When opening the bag here, there is a small extra pocket. Inside of that we have a small plastic bag with a small instruction booklet, some glue and some extra material, so you can repair both the bottom and the top of the mat if you should be so unfortunate that you'll punch a hole into that. So here we have the sleeping mat. The bottom is a gray color and the top is black. What's special about this sleeping pad is that it is filled with goose down, and this means that you shouldn't inflate it by using your mouth, because then the moisture in your breath will make the goose down a little bit wet, and then they will use the isolation effectiveness. So what are you going to do instead? Well, there is in this area here, there is some of this foam that we know from some of the self-inflating sleeping pads. And actually you just open here for this valve, then you place your hands on top of these two hands which are drawn here, and then you just start pumping. What you need to remember is when you pump that the hand here covering the valve has to leave the valve open when you need to get air in it, and then you have to close on the valve when you need to pump. There is also a large valve here, a flat one, for letting the air out of the sleeping pad. But let me just show you how to inflate the sleeping pad here. So you just open the valve here, and now you can already see this area here with the foam is already inflated, and then it's just a matter of placing your hands on top of the two hands which are drawn here, and then you start pumping. And it's quite important that when you pump, that the backhand here covering the valve covers the valve completely, because if you don't do that, air will just escape and will not go into the sleeping pad. Depending on how much energy you're going to put into it, it will take you a couple of minutes to inflate the sleeping pad. A good little trick is up here where the valve is, where it lets the air in. After you fill it up, you can see this area here is a little bit less filled than the rest. So you just press here where the valve is, and then air will rush back into this foam area. And now the sleeping pad is inflated. And you can easily see here 9 centimeters. Great. You can really feel the quality of this sleeping pad here. It is so nice to lay upon. I mentioned the R value. And what is the R value? Well, the R value is a value which gives the resistance of the heat conduction through 1 square meters of this material. But in what you would say in layman terms, it gives us an indication of how cold can the ground be before you start freezing laying on one of these pads here. What you should be aware of is that the measurement is done by the factory, and it is done on a, what shall we call it, an average person. And as you probably know, that we all have different ways of feeling the temperature. Some of us are cold sleepers and some are hot sleepers. Some people can freeze even when it's hot, and some people can be really hot even if it's cold. So it is an individual thing. But what we normally say is that if you divide these R values up in different segments, then for summertime, the R value on your sleeping pad should be about 0 to 2. For spring and autumn, it should be from 2 to 4, and in wintertime from 4 to 7. And extreme temperatures are higher than 7, and this is rated 8, so it's down to minus 38 centigrade, so that is quite extreme. As you saw, it's quite big, quite heavy, and if I compare it to my Climate Recon, which I can have in a pocket, there is a big difference. But again, this one is has a really small R rating, and it is quite thin and light. So the insulation effect on this one when it's cold is slim to none. So of course you have to figure out where you're going to stay, what is the temperature, how about the ground, what type of ground I'm sleeping on. So you need to figure that out before you choose your mat to bring. The sleeping pad here is without a doubt the best that I ever slept on. The effect of the insulation, the 320 grams of goose down, is unsurpassed. I have never tried a sleeping pad this good. It is phenomenal. I've only been sleeping on this one down to minus 4 degrees centigrade, but I could actually feel the down getting warmer as the night progressed. And that brings me to my own experiences with this sleeping pad here. There is some cons with this sleeping pad. One of them is the way that you fill the sleeping pad using your hands. I've been out in minus 27 degrees centigrade, and if I was supposed to take off my gloves and start pumping a sleeping pad like this for a couple of minutes or maybe 3 minutes in that kind of cold, that would just render my fingers or hands useless afterwards. I'm in no doubt about it. I think it will be quite difficult to pump up this one with the really heavy gloves on. Of course, you can buy this Exped Schnozzle pump bag for about 39 bucks. And that is just like a big bag with a nozzle on that you put here on the valve, and then you just roll it up and pump it up, and then it will just be really fast. And because you cannot blow this up with the mouth due to the moisture in the air of your breath, you need either using your hands or this Schnozzle pump bag to fill up the pad here. And that is one of the major drawbacks, because this one is primarily used for the extreme temperatures. Of course, you can also use it when it's really hot, again to isolate you from the ground. It is almost as bad as sleeping on a hot surface as it is sleeping on a cold surface. So it can be used for all 4 seasons, this sleeping pad here. Also what I found out was when I was moving around, because it is so thick, 9 centimeters, I could actually sometimes feel that it was like the air was moving around with me when I was laying on my side. And I can also feel that when I was switching from one side to another, I could feel that the side I was laying on in a long time was hot, compared to the side that I was rolling over to, and that was a little bit cooler. It didn't take me long to heat up the goose down, and that's both a good and a bad thing. The good thing is, of course, that the down are hot or warm to the touch, but then you have to warm up the down here on the colder side if you are a person who moves around a lot during your sleep. So that's also one of the things that you should think of. It is a minor thing. Also, one of the cons is when I have to pack it up into the small bag. It is quite fast to let the air out and start rolling it up, but you really need to be careful when you roll it to really press all the air out. If not, then you'll have some problems in stuffing it into the stuff sack. And I can imagine if you're out in a place minus 25, minus 27, there is no room for wasting time, especially if you have your gloves off your hands. So that's one of the things, again, that you need to be aware of, that maybe you need a larger compression bag or something for the pad itself. The good thing is, of course, the valves here, they're flat valves, so it is really hard to break them. And also the insulation effect, it is unsurpassed. As I said, I have never slept so well on a sleeping pad. This is the best of the best sleeping pads that I ever slept on. It's almost like sleeping at home in my bed. It is really, really, really just the fact that you can feel the warmth from the down, even if it was only minus 4 degrees centigrade. That is like it's just so great. And also the size of the sleeping pad, 65 centimeters here in width and 197 centimeters in length. So I'm covered all the way from the top of my head down to my feet, and I'm 1 meter and 83 centimeters long, so that is just perfect. And another thing is that the factory is really keen on quality, so they have a really, really strict quality control before the sleeping pad here leaves the factory, and they actually gives you 5 years factory guarantee on the sleeping pad. If I'm gonna give this sleeping pad a grading, where I look at the price compared to quality on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is the best. Well, I've been able to find this one online for a price of $268, and that brings me to a grading of 7. I think that $268 for a sleeping pad, even with this high rating down to minus 38 degrees centigrade, it is a high price. And I know it's a good quality sleeping pad, but for me personally, $268, that's too much. So that's why we're ending up on a 7. If I'm gonna give it a grading on the usability, again on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is the best, it's a hard 9. It is without a doubt the warmest sleeping pad that I ever slept on. It is so comfortable to sleep on and really, really warm. Even if it was only the minus 4 degrees centigrade. I mean, no doubt that if I go down to minus 20 or minus 25, it will still function as promised. And probably also down all the way to minus 38. It might feel a little bit cold around the nose, but this one is the best sleeping pad that I ever slept on. Of course, you have to think about the weight and the size of the sleeping pad. But again, if you're out in the Arctic or something, you really need to think about the sleeping pad. The sleeping pad is one of the most important things when you need to sleep. So that's why I'm giving it a 9. I have no problems in recommending this sleeping pad to anyone, and you can use it as a 4-season sleeping pad. Again, you have to think about the weight and the size. That's all that I had to tell you about the Exped DownMat 9LW. Remember, if you want to see my other videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Have Have a nice day. Bye.